Good afternoon, everyone. I'm wearing these new glasses and I have to get used to them. Hola. Oh, I forgot to go live on Facebook. I forgot. I have to get my tripod. Hang on. I'm thinking about the game tomorrow. Hola. I have to get my tripod so I can go on Facebook. I forgot about that. I was getting, I was cleaning some stuff in the kitchen, and my class, my second Spanish class, ended at about 2:30. Hola, I am blue. Hola. Let me know, guys, where you are tuning from. Interesting. I got me a new phone. I really like my new phone, but I think there's something wrong with one of my Facebook account, the one under my name. I have one under single women. Hi, Lynette. And I have another one under Maggie. These phones are too smart, I tell you. Makes you feel dumb. They just do too much. Whew. And I had a little situation with my app, one of my apps. And it was like, ooh, you forgot to download that one. All right, so this one, is this the Maggie? Yeah, that's the one that I have a little trouble with. Let's see. How do you go about? Oh, yeah, create. You always have to be like a smart person. Hi, Lynette, Chiron Blue, Washington. Yay, Lynette. Kingston, Jamaica. Oh, very good, Maria. Maria, I forgot where you are. Where are you again? Maria is one of my very faithful followers. She's always staying in touch, which is lovely. All right. I got to turn this. Ooh. Okay. Um, no, not the avatar. I don't have an avatar. All right. Let's see. You know how a lot of times you can turn the camera? This one is not giving me an option. Okay, so we're gonna go out and then start again. So you guys notice the hair? I got rid of it. And this is gray. Rainy and dark along Long Island. Aww. Long Island, New York. Is the weather bad there? Okay, let's see. We're starting over, but it doesn't. I think it's the same one that I'm having issues with. To add a description, I'm trying to turn the camera to your post. Rotate. Oh, okay. You got to say rotate. With the other phone, You just saw the little thing and you squirt. This one says rotate the camera. You got to learn all that. DC. Oh, well, it's not storming here, but we are in rainy season here in Panama, and it could storm at any point. But we've had storms overnight. So now the other, usually I sleep through them. But the other day I woke up and the wind was blowing. The building is not shaking. My building is really strong. But what they always tell us to do is to watch out for your patio furniture, right? And your plants to make sure they don't fall over or I wouldn't want anything to fly out from the 30th floor. That would be a no bueno. Oh, yes, because you're having wildfire where? Is it in Canada or where is the wildfire coming from? I know they have some in Spain right now. And you remember years ago we had really bad wildfires. Hola, whoever's watching on Facebook. Um, in Portugal. Was it in Portugal? Yeah. So these fires, just like everything is hot everywhere, the earth temperature is warm and it's not good. Whether you believe in climate change or not, when the earth is warming up, this is a no bueno. Water in the sea is warming up, and you're going to have storms that are stronger. Everything is going to churn. And when a storm is devastating, what do you do? Hola. Hi, Florida, my friend. How are you? Aww. This lady named Florida, that's her name. She was one of the older volunteers with me. We made it to the Peace Corps. Well, I chickened out. She stayed. She did her 3 years. Is it 3 years? I think so. And she's just amazing. Amazing. She doesn't look a day over 60. Wonderful, Florida. Oh, maybe you'll come see me in Panama one day. In Canada, that's what I thought. It's been dark from 10 o'clock this morning. Roaring thunder. Ooh. And then if you have the wind churning and fires, remember the fires in Hawaii not too long ago, Lahaina? And I remember going to that place on vacation, how pretty it was. You don't hear anything about it anymore, right? You don't know how these people have then been able to rebuild. Did they lose their land? I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but a lot of things just seem a little bit too weird to me. So a lot of things I keep here. I don't verbalize them, but yeah, I think of. So Maria, where are you? Are you in Virginia or are you in the Northeast? I mean, that would be Northeast. Oh wow. No, we're not that bad right now. I'm looking outside and it looks pretty good. But of course, with me, it could change at any point. So, thank you guys for coming. I don't have a topic per se, but just what, I was doing something in the kitchen and I said, okay, when I say ask me anything, you guys have heard me speak about a lot of things. So, you need to tell me if you have a question. And of course, the question could be about Panama. It may not be. That's okay. Anything to do with aging, living abroad, taking risks. Like I just spoke to a sister, she is a caregiver for her mom, and she's talking, she sounds to me like she's getting overwhelmed. Caregiving is a very hard thing to do. And unless you've been a caregiver, you do not understand what it all entails, especially if you're responsible for that person on your own 24/7. That's a no bueno. That is stress that is magnified being a caregiver. You think about raising kids, that's even worse. When you're raising aging kids, right? Because how as we get older, we turn into our children. This is not hyperbole. This is true. I remember my mother, I love her to death, but sometimes she'll do something and I'm like, you're acting like like a toddler, when you have your own way. I'm like, listen, and you in the middle, you're a bit impatient about that. So that, your emotions, the way you handle things may not be the way you would, because this person is still an adult, and your parent. It's hard. Oh, Suffolk, New York. Okay. 19 years. So you understand exactly what I'm talking about. So my sister is like, I need to talk to you. And sometimes I said, listen, sis, even just talking to someone is therapeutic. But the other thing that I know about caregiving that is so important, especially if you're the sole caregiver, is to get respite care. Now, respite is something, when I own a home care company, I learned to understand and to appreciate that anybody needs a break from the routine. And that's what respite care did. We work with an agency called the Area Agency on Aging, which is, I think it's a state funded, yeah, they do have some federal dollars in there too, to assist seniors, but the respite is for the caregiver so they can continue caring for the senior at home, because the alternative is to put them in a facility. And in a facility, they become the responsibility of the federal government and the state government under Medicaid. And Medicaid, if you know anything about it, you kind of have to get to a point you have nothing. And then that's a lot of pressure on the government to manage all these people. So we used to think about, not me, but other people, agencies used to think a lot about what can we do to keep these people at home so they don't become the charge of the government. And the way you do that is through home health care, respite care, so you keep the caregiver kicking long enough so they don't kick the bucket, right? And they used to provide some assistance with things like diapers and stuff like that. Some people would get meals on wheels, so the caregiver didn't. I don't know if they got meals on wheels. They had a caregiver, but what we were pushing for at one point, if I recall, was giving a stipend to the caregiver for her time, because a lot of people as caregivers end up leaving their job so they then take care of this person that becomes their full-time job. So you really should be able to subsidize it. Hi, Auntie, ¿cómo estás? Yes, so it's a big thing. But I have to tell you, one of our sisters, I did a video about her and her mom. And she's got a lot of sisters who have rallied around her to help her. But we do have facilities here in Panama that are designed to care for older folks. The other thing that I think there's going to be more and more as more of us are here, because we used to that system. It's a bit newer to them, because in this culture, the Latin culture, Caribbean culture, African culture, we take care of our elderly parents at home. But when you have societal pressures, you have price increases, you have inflation, so a lot of people end up having to go outside to get work. So then who takes care of mom and dad? So in the news, they are starting to talk about that, about a lot of people, how they're going to take care of them. We have what we call here in Latin America. When you go to any town, they have a centro. It's like a little centralized area. Well, they'll have like a park. Have some trees. They have benches, and that's usually in the center of the city. Usually across the street from a Catholic church. The Catholic church is big in these areas, and you'll see a lot of older people sitting around all day doing not much, just watching people go by. One of my favorite activities. But they'll go around and they interview those people, and they're saying, well, there's nobody at home to take care of us. The other day, there was news on the TV that some caregivers would take a loved one to the hospital and never return to take them back home. So the pressures are mounting, and they came up with different numbers. I think there are about Panama only has about 4.4, 4.5 million people as a whole. And of that number, they have 400,000 plus people over 65. And then they're doing the numbers to see how many of those people are being kept at home and how many of them need to be cared for at home. So I could see an increase, or maybe it's just my awareness of more people, things coming up on my Instagram feed, on my Facebook feed, talking about casa de, they call it like a home. It's like a home away from home, or like a home care, but where they bring the caregiver, I mean the patient in. What we think about like assisted living, but they don't call it that here. So that is something I see coming around more. Hi Judy, how are you? So when you have demographic changes, people moving around, and like over here in Latin America, lots of people moving to Panama. People my age, I just turned 68, and we are primed for becoming a resident of those places. And of course, you have different cost structures, right? There is no Medicaid here. There is no government that's going to pay for you to be in a facility. So we don't have nursing homes like you think about it, right? Which is a good thing, because all the craziness and the inspections and the things, I wouldn't want nothing to do with any of that. But they do have to be licensed and they have staff. In fact, not too long ago, because of what I just mentioned, the demographic shift and an increasing number of older people needing care, they have a organization called IADEH or something like that, and they do a lot of training, and they've identified training people to care for the elderly, and I think they graduated so many not too long ago. To me, it sounds more like a home health care type of study. So it's catching on. As much as you have so many people getting older here, in the city, there are a lot of us, and then you have Boquete, which is a retirement hub, and they are looking to open up places like that. There was a lady who was retrofitting an area. It was going to be like an assisted living, and it was definitely going to be much affordable than what you and I are used to. But remember, everything out of pocket. You don't have uh, government. There's no Medicaid, and of course, Medicare doesn't pay for any of that, even over there in the U.S. So it's catching on, and there are different levels of location, amenities, right? There is one place that's becoming very popular here in the city, where some people, and they call themselves uh, like an assisted living facility, but they also do home health care, where they take care of the patients 24/7. So that is that. They are even stopping me, some people, food stamp temporarily, because they said they don't have the staff to distribute. Oh my God. Well, they fired so many people. You're creating the problem. I'm just exhausted talking about the stuff going on. I don't know what to say, right? I don't know. But anyway, I was thinking maybe I can, unless you guys have some specific questions, we can chat about the things that you might miss as an expat or an immigrant. Before somebody corrects me, an expat, you go to a place, you stay there temporarily. But once you decide to stay, someone will say, "You're no longer an expat, you're an immigrant." And I'm like, okay, I'm an immigrant. So now I always say expat/immigrant. Everybody's happy, right? Don't care what you call me. Geraldine Mayberry Horta, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenida. Oh my God, I'm getting used to the hair. Anyway, as somebody who's decided to move abroad, right, to live abroad, You guys know to my videos, we talk about all it takes to get there. It's a very heart-wrenching decision for some, not everybody. Some people are ready to go. So it's like, whoo, I'm out of here. But it's not as easy for some people, right? Especially if you have not traveled outside of your country of origin. Some people have not traveled, you know that. Um, some people are not comfortable being in an other environment that is not something that they're familiar with. That's going to give you pause because deciding to move abroad is a personal decision unless you're running from something and you're going into exile, which is very rare for, people from the Western world. But making that choice is difficult because you're going to go into an unfamiliar environment. Everything's going to be different: the weather, the food, the people, the what is it again? The routines, how people do things, how they think. And even coming to a place like Panama, that is only about 3 hours from the US. And this is one of the reasons people say they choose Panama. In fact, there was a question on one of the groups, I think it was Facebook. He's like, well, oh yeah, Michael Baisden, who's a radio personality, he said he's already invested in Panama. He's been here a couple of times, I think. And he said now he's looking at Thailand, and he's like, why would you choose either one and why? And which one would you choose and why? And it looked like it was a 50-50 split. The younger people definitely would choose Thailand because Panama is just now starting to attract some younger people. But before, you could have digital nomads or some people who have been moved because of job, but they know it's a temporary thing, versus someone who is deciding to just uproot themselves and move to Panama, at least in their mind, permanently. So it takes a lot of thought and organization. And by the time Ola Zaharaza, I have a hard time saying her name. Here, sis. I know you keep posting that you have a big trip coming, right? But once you make the decision and you've gone through all the emotional ups and downs of coming, and we, as people who've been here, tell you, yeah, make a couple of trips, as we call them, scouting trips, scout. I think it's important to look at different areas. I looked at now 3 countries in Africa. I had been to some countries in Latin America, like Chile. I love Chile. Now visited Guatemala and Peru. But coming to Panama, I felt a connection to Panama. So that's why I'm here, right? And there are many reasons why. Some people they know in the places where they're going. Some people like Thailand, they love the culture, the sense of peace. I hear some people say, and we say the same thing here. People talk about the food being really good in Thailand. Yeah, if you like Thai food, to me it's good, but it's not a reason why I would go there. I say I can't go there because it's just way too far. That's me, right? We have a sister here who's on her way to Thailand right now with her mom. So it takes know thyself, know what you're looking for. But once you arrive, I did a video last week about the honeymoon. And the honeymoon to me is when everything is new and shiny and you excited. Everything looks like really good, right? You're looking at this country with rose-colored glasses. Oh, it's peaceful. Oh, the food is amazing. The weather, if you're familiar with this kind of weather, because it could be hot to some people. And some sisters would say, oh, way too hot for me. So they're looking for the mountains. And that's the thing. We have microclimates here. If you want the mountain, you want the beach, you want the city, we have all that. So they like that they have a choice. But what are some things that I think you might miss? Uh, yes. Well, sis, this sister says, she's been here a month and she's trying to decide if she wants to stay here. And that is, it's a uncomfortable position to be in, right? And this is a reason some people say if you're seriously considering a place, come and stay for about 3 months. Because in those 3 months, you're going to have to be forced to think like a local and not like a tourist, right? Thank you, Lynette. Oh, she's so good. Yes, hit the like buttons, guys. Thank you. And again, I've had people come. I had a sister come. She said she had lived in Japan. And when I met her, she had a couple of dogs. And I'm like, had you been here before? Did you do a Scott? She got, nope, nope. Because she had lived abroad for years, she didn't think she needed to do a scouting trip. I don't believe she lasted too long. But I also have met people who have never been here who are still here. So you know what I'm saying? There is no standard that, oh, this one's gonna stay, that one's not gonna stay. I don't know that you can do that. All I know is that the better prepared you are, realistically, the higher your chances of staying here. Not that you're gonna be happy, okay? Remember, happy is circumstantial. Being content is a decision. All right? The people who tend to see life or the cup half full have a better chance of staying in wherever country they decide to go to because you're going to be challenged. And sometimes, even with so many scouting trips, once you become a local, certain things really become, hey, Lisa, certain things really become real to you and cause you really much discomfort. Remember, when you watch my videos, I tell you to take the self-assessment test. It's super important to be truthful to yourself. Am I the kind of person who can roll with the punches? Have you been away from your family? Can you be happy away from your loved ones? Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that, right? Are you open to other cultures? Or do you think that your people, your group, wherever you are, is it? You up here and everybody else is down here. You're going to have problems. Are you okay living in less than optimal situations? Water being cut off, electricity being out for days, no internet for hours or days. If those things stress you out, you got to take a step back. And I've had people tell me, "Oh, you just don't want us to come." Why would would I not want you to come? I don't have a stake in the game. Whether you come or you stay got nothing to do with me, sis. I can just tell you what I did and how I'm living here simply with not too many expectations. I just roll with the punches. When the internet is out, I find a way to entertain myself. Clean your house, reset your closet, do something. And not everything that happens needs to be urgent because there is no urgency here. Everything moves the way it moves. And no amount of fussing, no amount of complaining. I told you before, do not go on Google and start bashing people. You are not over there. It doesn't work like that here. There is no Yelp for you to go in. No, ma'am. Got to know where you at, okay? So you got to do all this work and then prepare yourself mentally. First of all, for missing home, I spoke to her sister this week and she's having a moment transitioning and adapting. Listen, it's not easy. Waking up is hot, you can't go out, right? The internet is out or it's sketchy and everything tends to irritate you. That's because you in that transition phase and your nerves are like, That's when I say you need to do things to counteract that. Maybe you need to go take a trip back home and kind of be around your people, recharge and then come back. And some people are not going to make it. I'm sorry to tell you. Some people are not cut out to be an expat or an immigrant. And this is where this is leading me. What are the things that you might miss? Of course, your family, you're going to miss your family. What did you have to go through when you came? Right? What were you expecting? When you came and you went on tour number 1, number 3, oh my God, it's beautiful, beautiful. And you expect your daily life to be like that? No, man, it's not going to be like that. So you miss your family. I miss my family too, but I was used to getting up and go for like weeks at a time. So I was used to it. One of the questions on that self-assessment is that, have you traveled abroad? How do you feel being with people who don't look like you, who don't talk like you, who don't think like you? Are you a problem solver? When things happen, those of us who travel a lot, we are problem solvers, because you're going to have occasions where you're going to be stuck at the airport. What are you going to do? Are you going to be okay, or are you going to have a fit? Now that's going to help you. I remember getting stuck at the Atlanta airport. They shut down the airport for like a little storm. I'm from Florida. I'm used to storm. But when this little wind blew and they shut down the airport, I couldn't understand that. So you had a full airport. I believe it's the busiest airport. They ran out of food. They ran out of water. People were just laying around on floors. And I'm like, ew, I don't know what's on the floor. I'm not laying down there. I'm just going to put something on the ground, sit there and put my head on a suitcase and wait. It was cold. They tried to reschedule my flight 5 times, and they had no flights to schedule. They were just playing on our emotions. Oh yeah, the flight we scheduled for this time. And when the time, like 10 minutes before the flight, oh, your attention please, the flight has been canceled. And I knew it was a game they were playing. I could not even rent a car. I thought I was going to drive from Atlanta to Florida. I could not, because they say, oh no, we have 2 cars left. If you pay for the car to go to Florida, you have to bring it back. You couldn't drop it off. Game. So you know how I got home? On a Greyhound bus. I don't recommend that. First of all, when you get to this station, it's like, you feel a certain way. And it was funny, that Greyhound bus from Atlanta, I think it was like a 6 or 7 hour. It took about 14 or 15 hours. Every little town from Atlanta all the way to Florida, the bus stopped. People got off, people came on. It kind of reminded me of the little mini buses we have here in Panama. Like if you go into Coronado, and from Coronado to the city, the bus will stop every 500 feet. People come on, people get out. I mean, it is a process, okay? And like 2 weeks later, in the news, some cuckoo person got on a bus and knifed someone right there on the bus, on the one of the very buses I was on. It wasn't my time. It's a process. So if you say, well, I'm never going to travel again because of that, you can't do that. You just roll with the punches. And I've told a story about me landing in Kigali, Rwanda at 2 o'clock in the morning with no Wi-Fi, no way to call anybody. I figured it out. And I ended up finding my Airbnb. Communicated with the Uber driver, or I think it was a taxi driver, who didn't speak English. He didn't speak French. Some people do speak French. He's like, no French. So we were doing sign languages and calling the third party. It was interesting. If you talk to any of us, like Lisa here, who've been traveling around in Zahara, all these ladies are, solo travelers and travel a lot. There are things happening to you while you're traveling. There was a lady who said she was somewhere in the Far East and she was in a car with this guy and he kept asking her, "Where are you staying? When were you going home?" And she started feeling, that sixth sense that, "Oh, I can trust this guy." And you got to sometimes kind of change your route so they don't see where you're going. So you become savvy. All right. So that's important. So, what will you be missing in Panama if you are an expat or an immigrant besides your family? Hmm. I think you're going to miss the familiarity. You know how you can get in your car and then you could just on autopilot go where you need to go? Or when you go to Walmart, your Walmart in your neighborhood, you can just go with your eyes closed. In this aisle, there's this aisle, there is this. I love that. I used to shop at Publix, and if I went there and they moved something, I'd get upset. I'm like, that's where it's supposed to be, right? So you miss the familiarity of being able to just go. You're gonna miss not having a car if you don't drive. Uber is great, but there is something to be said about being able to pump the trunk and put your stuff in there, and we don't have that. I'm having to people use the little cart. I don't use that. I still don't use it. My backpack, carrying things, walking to the metro station, scan my card. That's a new life for me. I had not ridden a bus since I was like 18 years old and in college. I have owned a car since I was like, when I graduated from nursing school, maybe 21, 22. All of a sudden, you don't have a car. And you, depending on these drivers, some of them drive cray cray. Now we have the soccer, the FIFA thing. You get into an Uber with someone, chances are he's either watching the game on an iPad that is mounted right there. He's supposed to be watching the traffic with you in it, or they're on their phone. I have drivers like, and I'm thinking, no one ever told you you don't look at your phone while you're driving with me in it. You got to get used to that and not worry so much. What if they have an accident? What if they do? What are you going to do about it? Yes. But you can have a car, Auntie. Yeah, you can have your driver's license here. It's not hard. And you can have a car. It's a choice. I chose not to. Every time I go shopping, like when I'm having my parties and I'm making like a big menu, so I have to make several trips because, again, you got to go to the fish market here, the meat market here. Certain things you know where to go. You never go to one place and do your whole shopping. Doesn't work that way. That would be annoying to a lot of us. The familiar. Going to Walmart and getting everything you need in one place. We don't have that. There's no Walmart here in Panama. And people tell me you don't want one. I went to not Peru, but Guatemala. They had so many Walmarts and McDonald's. We don't have that here. We have McDonald's, but no Walmarts. So the convenience of getting everything in one place, we don't have that. The convenience of finding the things that you are used to, that one could trip you. I'm still adjusting to that. I'm sure someone told you, bring your hair product. Now I don't have to worry about it. A little shampoo, a little mousse, and I'm good. So cut it off. People talk about, oh my God, do you have anybody who does locks? Yeah, they do here now. But I don't have to worry about that. Plus, you save money. I stopped braiding my hair like about a year ago, with all the stuff about the braids and the chemicals and stuff. And I don't need that. First of all, I don't have anybody to please but myself. If I look in the mirror and I say, you don't look half bad, that's good. And I keep it moving. I think hair like this for people our age is game changer. It's freeing. Plus, it's hot. It is hot. Why do you have hair that long and you have to wrap it and put it's too much work. Too much work. Thank you, Grandma. Maggie, I know this might be a crazy question. Do they have local libraries that have activities for adults like free exercise and computer classes? Oh boy. Libraries, as you know, it is not a thing here. In the city, there is a library. I haven't been to it. I know they say it's inside Parque Omar or really close. And I think they do have some English books, but of course, the majority are in Spanish. I recently saw a library, but it's not like a typical library. It's kind of store, but they have books, right? A library, if you think of exchanging and stuff, mm-mm. I went in there. It started. I saw one at our book mall, and I didn't see one book in English. In one of the WhatsApp group, which is a women's group, someone said they were opening a bookstore in Casco Viejo, which is the old city. And I haven't been there, so I don't know how that works. You be able to exchange books and such. Okay, so don't think about libraries. You're like a YMCA. We don't have that here either, right? But the park inside, in the middle of the city called Parque Omar, they have lots of classes, right? They have yoga, they have Tai Chi now in some of the parks. But those are like private. You pay the instructor directly. They have swimming classes, same thing. You pay per class to the instructor, but it's not like in a building. Mm-mm. At Parque Omar, I've seen exercise classes, Zumba. Yes, they have some of that. And I live across from the bay, and we call this path Cinta Costera. Sometimes I don't hear it anymore, but on Sunday morning, they used to have like somebody with a microphone leading a class, like a Zumba class. I haven't heard it. Plus, it's so hot now. I don't even go out there to walk. In the morning, I'd have to get up like at 4 o'clock, and there is no way I'm going to get out there in the dark. Again, safety, don't do that. And so I go to the gym in my building, or I do my exercises at home. You have to adjust this, okay? So any classes that you want to do is going to be on the private side. It's not, you know, Nilva. Oh, all my friends are on tonight. Come on, Stas. How are you, darling? Used to work with this girl, my nursing buddies. So what else do you miss? You miss the familiar. You miss going to the post office to mail a card. You know what I've been saying? You've been seeing that too. Like it started in Amsterdam, where a group of people go to a park and they bring their drinks and they put their cell phone away and everybody is drawing or reading. It's like a silent. I would love to have that here in Panama because I think these phones are just gonna be the death of us. Gonna numb our brain, and it keeps us from developing really close relationship. Talk to people. Like when you go to a restaurant, do you not look around to see who's talking to each other, or you see everybody sitting at the table like this? This is a travesty. That bothers me a lot. Okay, so there is no post office in Panama. Well, let me take that back. Somebody told me you could see a building says Correos. Correos is like mail. You can rent a mailbox in there. And apparently, the locals have a way to get mail back and forth. I tried to get one of those. One of my friends, she said, "Oh, I sent you this." And I'm like, "How did you send it?" And we will tell you, we don't have USPS here, Postal Service. There is no little truck coming around delivering mail. There is no such thing in Panama, okay? So when I was thinking of doing the quiet thing, and I'm like, it would be nice for you to say, okay, let me write 5 cards to someone. In this day and age of everything being digital, how nice when I was back there for somebody to send you a card, a birthday card, or saying, thinking of you. None of that here. So if you want to send anything here, you use UPS, or you use DHL, or you use what's the other one? FedEx, right? But to get packages here, this is a question I get a lot. You need to find a company here. Text them, send a message, and say, okay, I'd like to get a mailbox from you. They'll give you an address out in Miami, Doral, or somewhere in Miami, and one with your name on it. That is your account. If you order from Amazon, Temu, or wherever, I've never ordered anything from Amazon or Temu since I've been here. Can you believe that? So you can live without Amazon, trust me. They would send you would send the address that they give you, put it in your Amazon account for the delivery. Once it gets there, then they'll bring it to you here. They may charge you a small fee to bring it to your building, but that's the only way you get your package, right? So some people you'll see there's so many different companies doing that. So in front of my building, I could be going out and then there's like Fast Box or whatever, and they have a bunch of packages and they bring them here. Kind of like they deliver your water the same way here. So no mail services. So you miss going to the post office, buying stamps. No need for that. That's different. Gotta get used to that, right? So if you want to send something to someone, now you can receive the mail. Going it out is a whole different process. That's where you go to FedEx and all these and you put it in a big envelope and you pay a lot of money for it and send it back over there. But it's a lot easier to get it in than to get it out. So you have to know that. Okay? What else do you miss? You miss familiar food, right? If you're someone who likes a certain type of cuisine, or you have your favorite restaurants. Yes, McDonald's is here. I'm not a fan, never have been. Pizza Hut, all the pizzas, they love pizza here. They have some local brands, but they do have the Pizza Hut and whatever else that they have here. What are some of the things? We have a lot of Chinese restaurants here because the Chinese culture is really strong in Panama. Because I think they make about 5% of the whole population. So Chinese, and those are Chinese whose families work in the canal. So they just have as much right as Panamanian as the people from Spain and people from the Caribbean. All right. Panama is a paella. My friend Hilario calls it the paella of cultures. They have Asian cultures, people from the Middle East. Everybody's here. All right. So is the cuisine, right? So you may not find your particular restaurant, but take time to learn, try the different restaurant and find one that you like. This is an activity I don't participate in because I am not a restaurant person. I don't go out there spend my money eating food that I know is not good for me. I don't know how they prepare it. I know how I prepare my food, so I don't eat out. So when people tell me, "Do you have a recommendation?" I said, "I can tell you what other people have said about a restaurant, but I don't eat out." And the few times I've gone out, it's like, no, no. So give yourself time to learn the different cuisine, whatever you like. Now there is a Thai restaurant here that's pretty nice. What do they call it again? Avantika, yes, and they're very kind. I went to a Greek restaurant. It was okay. I'm not crazy about Greek, and I like a nice Greek salad, right? Like I said, Chinese, I can't because the amount of soy sauce is I'm almost allergic. So that's a no for me. Italian, there's a lot of that here, but the pasta and I don't work very well now in this old age. The carbs swelled me up. Okay. Caribbean, ooh, yes. Now, I'm used to that. So I got to watch myself. All that rice and peas and meat. So right now, I'm on a no rice thing. But the patacones, I'm used to patacones because I'm Caribbean and we used to fry those plantains, and I don't fry anything in my house anymore. So you see why I would be bored eating out. So restaurant could be something that you miss. Something also you might miss is your tools, things that from somebody who's a cook in your kitchen, all my gadgets and stuff. You might miss those. And if you find something, the quality may not be quite the same. You got to get used to that. People tell you they'll buy like electric something and it breaks down, it doesn't last as much. And instead of going in, you just say, okay, that's the way it is. Order one from Amazon and have it delivered to your place. You can do that. And electrical outlets are the same. So there is no concern about that. The three prongs with the, what do you call that last one? The ground, yes, it's the same three prongs. I know when I go to Europe, I have an international, what do you call that? Charger, and it pushes button, it adjusts to wherever you go. So I always travel with that. They tell you when you come in, make sure you bring a nice can opener. And I remember, I don't know if you remember that Florida, they told us the same thing about South Africa. Unless you're going to bring an electric can opener. Your blenders, I haven't bought a blender, but I bought I guess it's a blender, a Ninja, and I didn't like it. And I'm using it. I said, I paid my money for it. I'm going to use it till it break down. And then I go to somebody said, get a NutriBullet or something else. But I'm used to a brand for when I use in my cafe. That was the best. Oh, no, I can't remember it. Coffee makers, I don't think they're that different. I don't drink coffee like that, so I can't speak about that. Air fryers are here. I don't use an air fryer. Your microwave. I have a microwave here in this thing. It takes a long time to warm things up, so it might be just old. But this is why you go onto those WhatsApp group, you become a member, or hey, just my come here. Um, you become part of those groups and then you read the responses or you post your question. You learn a lot. People will tell you, oh no, oh go here and buy that, go there and buy that, right? In terms of furniture for your house, I think they're about the same. But when you rent an apartment here in Panama City, most of the time you get the major pieces of equipment, not equipment, but furniture, like your couch. I bought the dining room table you're looking at. In the kitchen, it had the stove and the microwave. Some places have an air fryer, otherwise you can buy one. Coffee maker, usually you're going to have to buy your own. Utensils, you may have a few, especially if they use the place as an Airbnb, but then you have to buy your own, your plates, your cups and stuff like that. So don't expect anything. If you find something, be grateful and then supplement as you can. And of course, this couch, every time I look at it, I said, I wish it would be a different style, something plush. It's got like that cheap cover that kind of mimics leather. And you don't want leather in Panama, it's too hot. Okay, they tell you no leather. But again, it is not yours, right? So first of all, if you ask the owner to change the couch, they're going to say, what do I do with it? And if they throw it away and you decide to buy a new one, when you leave, you're going to have to leave it because when you came, there was one here. Okay. So usually they're semi-furnished. Most of us have had to add one thing or another. But I always caution people, don't spend a lot of thousands of your dollars retrofitting an apartment that is not yours unless you're going to buy it. Okay? What else could you miss in the house? Central heat, central air. We don't need heat in Panama City. Central air. I had central air when I came. I think a month or two after I moved in, it broke down and the owner has never fixed it. But it's okay because they have this mounted wall unit in each bedroom. And I'm not a cold natured person. I don't need my house to be at 68 like some people. So I'm making it work, and my electric bill is so nice. We use a lot of fans now. A lot of us, you didn't use fans before, but you're gonna find fans in our homes. Some people have them in all the, if you go to menopause and you're hot all the time, some people would have the mount AC unit, and they'll have a fan in each bedroom. I don't need that. I have one in the living area here, and I have a small mounted one that the sister left and gave it to me in the kitchen. When I'm cooking the show, once I turn the oven on, then it gets a bit warm, and that seems to help. And my last bill was $23. So listen, shh, I am not complaining because at home my electric bill was in the 100 over. No mail. Thank you, Adrienne, for the haircut. I wonder how many people who live in the suburb get their mail. When you say suburb, you mean outside the city? Definitely they don't get mail like that. You just don't have that system of mail delivery. We don't have that, period. Okay? But you're gonna have places who manage mail like Fastbox, MBE, Mailbox, etc. You're gonna find those everywhere. Okay? Oh, stamps went up again. But the good thing about Panama is that paying bills. You know how you used to? They send you a bill in the mail. You rip that little voucher. You write your check, and you get a stamp to send it back. We don't do that here. Everything is done through your phone. That's why when you come to Panama, you need to have a Panama number that starts with 507. Never mind what your area code was in the state, doesn't apply here. And for you to get your cell phone, your electric, your cable and stuff, you need a 507 number because they tell you, nope, they're not going to call you on your US number. You keep your US number for your bank account for your two-step authentication because I got caught in that. So keep your US number. You don't need all the bells and whistles. You just want a basic plan so that when you dial into your account, they're going to say, we're going to send you a code. So you can still get that code so you can get into your account. Otherwise, it's a mess. When I went to South Africa, I was like, I'm going to be gone for 3 years. I'm not going to keep paying. What company was it? It wasn't T-Mobile. And I said, I'm not paying that. So I turned in my number that I had for decades. Worst mistake I had made. So when I decided to return to the US, I could not get into my account. It took me like 3 weeks. First of all, I kept calling and saying, well, you can't send it to this number, the 507 number. No, they're not communicating. Nope, we can't. And of course, after 3 tries, they locked the account. So you're in a strange country. What do? You can't transfer money. Who? This is where you're going to have to be very resourceful, right? First of all, we tell you, keep some cash at home for such a time as this when it's like, what do you do? So I kept calling the 800 number, and then you wait for minutes, hours to get somebody to talk to you. And then he said, oh, the system doesn't recognize this foreign number. You need to get a US number. So when I went home, I said, I'm going to get a new number. I don't know what I was thinking. I went to the lady at T-Mobile and I'm like, would you by any chance still have my number? She laughed. She said, no, ma'am. It's like, what were you thinking? So she gave me a new number. So I came here, went and put it in, still would not recognize it. So when I called, the guy said, oh, they don't have a tower here. We can't communicate. So that didn't. And he said, I'm going to shut it down. You're not going to be able to use it. So they closed that account. I think finally someone said, you know what? You just need to leave it alone because the more you try to access the account, the tighter they're going to close it because they're thinking it's fraud, right? He said, leave it alone. Give it a week or two and then try again. Do you know that's what I did? And that's what I was able to get in, to ask to get the code a different way. So just listen to my experience. Keep your US number. And I tell everybody that. So you're going to have to pay, that's cost of doing business, pay for your regular phone over there. And your phone here is like $30 a month. So it's no biggie, right? So that's thing, the mail. The entrance, right. And then all your bills, once you get your Panama number, when you go to set up your mobile phone, that's what they want to see, to give them that 507 number. When you go to turn on your electric, that's what they want. When you go to set up your cable and Wi-Fi, that's what they want. Okay? So you need that. So it's different. What else do you miss? You miss certain products. Oh my God. You hear about the hair product, right? They don't have things for natural hair here in Panama, because Panama is a paella, right? You have indigenous people with really straight jet black hair. You have the Españoles from Spain, could be all kind of hair texture, straight curly. Then you have the Caribbeans. You have people from Jamaica, and then Bocas del Toro, you get people from Barbados and Trinidad and other places. Then you have the Chinese and you have the Asian. So you got everybody in here. And after the canal, people started intermarrying, right? And that's why when you come to Panama, you see a lot of people who look like you. Skin color, but the hair texture is different. You're not going to find many Panamanians with this curly, kinky hair. They may be like this, but their hair is straight. They go and they curl it like we do, with the chemicals, but it's different. All right? So when you are looking for somebody said, I was able to find Cantu, Cantu. Yes, I've seen Cantu at a store, but the rest of it would be product that they use, the locals use. You just have to get used to it or bring your own. So why do you think when I'm speaking to you all and somebody said, oh, there's a sister I'm supposed to call. She said, I'm coming. I want you to tell me what you need me to bring to you. You guys are so nice. I've gotten grits and all kinds of things. So I'm so grateful. But your hair products, bring it, because if you're looking for natural hair, this and that, like this, I can use anything. A little wash, conditioner, maybe a little mousse, and that's it. Oh, I love it. I feel such a sense of freedom. Some of the things you might miss that I miss are like skincare products, right? Especially if you were used to a certain brand. Don't look for brands here. No. So what you do, they have some Dove, but they don't have all Dove. I've seen some soap. Yes, they're smaller, but they're here. I went to a store and I thought I could find a Dove body wash. They have one for men, but none for women. Go figure. They have Nivea. Is that what we call it? Nivea. And what else do they have? We don't have Macy's. We don't have some of the brands that you're familiar with. So no. So what you do, there is a company here called Nevada, Nevada. And I asked somebody, they're not Panamanian, I think they're Colombian. And they're very spread out throughout the whole country, and they have lots of products for hair, for skin. In fact, I use their moisturizer. It's called hyaluronic acid, and that's what I put on my skin at night, right? And that's all I use. And they have all kind of things for your hair. They even have stuff for the dogs, because they love dogs. And they have shampoo and stuff for the dog. So you just try a few things and see if they work. Don't buy a whole, size, and see if it works for you. And then you're just going to have to keep it moving, sis, okay? If you're looking for like hair grease and stuff like that, bring it. Bring it. Deodorant. I had to have my friend Lisa bring me. She bring me a whole pack of Dove deodorant, so I'm good. I was struggling with that because usually I like the one that doesn't have the aluminum, right? But I could not find it. I'll try. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't work. And in this heat, you need something, okay, to keep you from just dripping all over the place. What else do I struggle with? Not the nails in here. You can find someone to do your nail. That's not a problem. Clothing. Oh, shoes. Don't forget the shoes now. I did a video about that. If you are a size 9 and up, you're gonna have trouble. Okay? Maggie, do they have Clarence skincare? Nope, I haven't seen that. No, ma'am. Thank you, HBS. I love my hair too. I feel like a free woman. I've been in bondage. You're having a horrible, oh, I'm so sorry. Nope, we don't have any storm here. It's nice, clear as day. This is my view right here. Clear. Nothing. All right. Can you order those items to Amazon? You can order anything you want to Amazon. And like I said, you just get an account from a company that does that here. And the other day I signed up. I think I had an account with MBE, and I think someone said they're just being bought by UPS, right? So I called this company that everybody says it's so good here. Oh, I forgot the name. I'm using my phone. I forgot the name of the company. They said the customer service is great, which is something that you need to get used to. Customer service is not the same as you think of it. No. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But they'll give you an address in Florida, in Miami, and then that's the address you give Amazon. You can have anything delivered through Amazon here, right? It's not bad. I think they do a little surcharge, but it's not bad. Somebody said there is a Temu Panama. I've never ordered from Temu, so I have no clue. But that one, the sister said it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get here. I don't know. But you can order anything, okay? I think there was a sister here who was thinking of ordering some meds through Amazon Pharmacy. I think there was a little wrinkle in that. I'm not sure. Because medication, you can go to the pharmacy and just order. I can order medication for blood pressure, diabetes. You only need a prescription if you're ordering antibiotic or controlled substance. Anything else? Or if you're looking for the Wegovy or whatever things to inject you if you lose weight, you need a prescription for those. But otherwise, you can walk into any pharmacy and say, I want this, this, that. Use your phone and say, I'm looking for this, and boom, you get it. And you get a discount as a senior. So, what was I going to talk about that you don't get? Okay, I already forgot about it. But this is how you deliver, the shoes, talking about the shoes. If you wear a size 9 and up, bring your shoes. I remember when I first got here, I went and I bought a pack of, these little anklets, because, you wear sneakers, you want to wear something. You don't want anything up to your knees. Ooh, that's too hot, right? But I put it in and it got to the half my foot. And I'm like, oh, little people, little feet, right? But then I was able to find larger sizes. And then someone said, go to Cologne. Cologne has people of a taller stature. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. Because in Cologne is where you have a lot of our Jamaican brothers and sisters, and some of them are tall. But I've never been there I think they do have a place where we go shopping. Where we went, Lisa, where the ships, the cruise ships dock, and then they have a bunch of stores. Call it a Zone 2000 or something, and lots of stores. I have not bought anything there except I went to the Nevada store and got some of the moisturizer, but I don't know. But someone said you could find larger shoe sizes. I would say if somebody's coming, just bring them with you. your sandals, your tennis shoes, because you don't need fancy stuff here. It's too hot. Once in a while, you may go to a soiree, but usually it's very casual. Okay. I like, well, you may not know, I like classical music and ballet and stuff like that. I have one black dress, and I do have some black shoes, and I have another black skirt, but just simple. So nothing that you're going to have a closet full. You don't need that here, because what you need are things like this, really small and let you breathe, and so you don't, get too sweaty. You have huge feet. Okay, Lynette, bring your shoes, sis. Okay. You're not going to, we don't have big and tall here. No big and tall. And as much as Panamanian, I mean, the cuisine here is heavy in starch and meat. I was going to say almost like the South African diet with the pop. I was like over the pop and the meat. They eat a lot of meat. But there aren't that many morbidly obese people here. I mean, when I see one, I kind of, catches my attention. But no, we don't have that, because a lot of people, they move a lot, right? You have, there are a lot of cars in the city, but outside the city and other places, people walk. Like people like me, I don't have a car. So wherever I'm going, I'm in the streets, I'm walking. All right. So if you like extra super sizes, bring your clothes too. Okay. Oh, there is a short pause in the rain. Good. Oh, Lord. All right. What else would you miss? Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find good supplements, right? So if you are, like I said, you can go to a pharmacy and I can order you can order your medication. But if you're gonna order, like if you're gonna ask them, for like vitamin C, they come like 100 pack, 100 per bottle, where you could find a 500 at Walmart. So those are things that if somebody's coming, ask them to bring them to you. They probably cost you less over there than they would cost you here, especially if you don't have the discount. But I think most of you would get the jubilado discount. And a lot of the pharmacies have like 25% off on certain days of the week, and those are information that is information that is shared in those different groups, which pharmacy, and they deliver. One good thing about Panama, not only do you just do all your billing and payment online, people who don't have a bank account, because the way you pay it online is you just do a transfer, una transferencia from your account to the business account. You set it up and then that's it. And something that is amazing, let's say my electric bill comes in to Naturgy. This is the name of the company. And then I set it up in my app on my phone. And then when you say you want to pay for services, and then you choose Naturgy, the company, and the bill that you own comes right up. So they talk to each other. So if you forget, you don't have to worry about it. It will tell you exactly. The other day I went and I was like 2 months. I'm like, oh, I missed it for one day. So that's a nice thing. And also, if you don't pay your bill, there is no mail telling you, or email telling you, your account is in arrear. You owe this much money. No, ma'am, nada. They just cut it off. You can go, you kick, there's no light. You're like, oh my God, what happens? If you don't pay, they cut it off. I think they give you 3 months, which is good, I think, right? But there is no warning, no reminder, none of that. So stay up on your payment, okay? They don't play with that. I think that's a good thing for paying your bills. I was going to say something else. Oh, yes. So for your bills, which is usually in Panama, is just your rent. You pay your rent the same way. You ask your landlord, what is your account number? And they'll give it to you. You set it up and you do a transfer. That's how I pay my rent. And they give you 5 days grace to pay your rent. Make sure you pay within those 5 days, because otherwise They have fees included in your agreement. They charge you a daily charge extra. And that's why a lot of people, when they leave an apartment, they don't get all their deposit back. So don't play with these folks, okay? Pay your rent on time, pay your bills on time. But if you don't have a bank account, and apparently there are some people here who don't have a bank account, even though I'm not sure why you wouldn't. And the other day I heard somebody from Mexico said, was it Rashida Dow? She said she doesn't have a bank account. Hi, Tawana, Dr. Tawana. She said she her bank account in Mexico. I think she had another video where she explained why. I don't know, but here I don't see any reason not to have a bank account, because once you get your visa, whether it's a temporary or the permanent, you can go to the bank. You get your letter that shows where your fund is coming from, whether it's your pension or Social Security. They want to see your passport. If you have your e-cedula, which is the ID, you give it. If not, that's fine. Give him your residency card, and you can start. You can open an account with $50 here. Come on, right? So again, I've talked about how you do the transfer from your US account to your bank account. You're going to pay some fees, guys. Okay. Now, if you have Schwab, someone says, and I think people concur, that you get reimbursed your fees. So that's that. Or people are having to go to the ATM several times a month to take money out. I don't think it's a safe thing to do, because people could be watching you do that and you put yourself at risk of being mugged or whatever, carrying cash around. I don't do that. Okay. There is a mall here on the third floor of the Multiplaza Mall. They have an area called Area Bancaria. That means the banking area. And most of the banks are lined up next to each other. Some of us, a lot of us, there is one bank here called BAC. We use our debit card in there. We withdraw the money. You can set your limit, your daily limit, from your bank where you're going to get the money from, your US bank. After I got pickpocketed, I set my limit to about $1,000 a day, which means I could not withdraw more than that. So if my cards get stolen and somebody finds a way to get money, they're not going to get more than that out of me. Okay. And then I just walk across the hall and deposit it in my account. All right. But to pay your bills, there are some stores here like Ray. Ray is like a Publix, it's like a food store, and they have an area there where you can pay those bills. So some people who don't have a bank account, they go there and they make their monthly payment. So that's a nice option, right? Yes. Yes, you are. So let's see what else you might miss. Customer service. Oh. Je love Daisy. Hola, sis. How are you? Como ye? Aww. She's watching from a town where I used to live in Central Florida. How nice. That's why I like all the social media. I mean, I don't get rich off of it, but I love the fact you can communicate like that. What shall I say? And, I have to be really nice about it. But what I want to preface by saying is that just like someone said, we are spoiled here. Yes, you are spoiled and entitled. And you think that the rest of the world should function like it's functioning at home. And that is not realistic. Okay? Because outside of the US, people don't live like you do. They don't have access to what you do. People don't go into a business thinking that, can I help you, ma'am? They got something that you want. The roles are reversed. So you don't walk into a home and expect people to just come and cater to you. No, you say, can I have that? And you go pay your money. You may or may not get a smile. You may or may not have eye contact. It's not a thing. There was a guy who came here to visit. I mean, I think he's one of those people who travels all over the place, and he's like, "Well, I don't know. I felt some kind of way about Panama. I went to pay for my bill, and then she put the change on the counter. You know how you go home over there? I remember that happened to me at the Home Depot. I went and bought something, and the lady, I think I know why she did it. She would not put the change in my hand. She put it on the counter. I took my thing and I went back with it, right? But whereas you might have thought there was a reason behind that, there is no reason behind that here. It's just the way it is. So you got to think about that when you're moving to a different country. You don't come. I remember I heard the same thing when I was in Africa. People say they order their food in some restaurants. It's like 45 minutes and nothing happens. It's not that bad here. You go to a restaurant, you know how you go to a restaurant, they came and they ask what you want. They come and they ask you what you want. And then they might say, "What would you like to drink?" They give you a drink while you're waiting for your food. It may not happen here. Some restaurants think they're going to bring you your drink when they bring the food. You can ask for your water ahead of time. The restaurants who are used to dealing with extranjeros, meaning foreigners, and they know that's your expectation, and maybe they've had a little bit of training, they might. What I'm saying, don't come with the expectations and then get all upset because it didn't happen the way you are used to. It won't. They may or they may not smile at you. And if you have a complaint, we call it a concern, don't ask for the manager. Because chances are nothing's going to happen. And I have to say, though, it depends on which restaurant. If it's a high-end restaurant, you're paying a lot of money, yes. But if you go to a fonda, right, this is like the mom and pop activities, and it's like, move the line. What are you waiting for? Move the line and pay your money and keep it moving. There is no, "Sir, what can I do for you? Would you like?" Don't your manage your expectations. You've heard people tell you that a lot. Manage your expectation. Okay. So I read one time, I think this American had an aging parent. He took the parent, or maybe he planned on taking the parent to one of those age home, assisted living or whatever, and care for the home. Something happened with the money or whatever. He went on Google and wrote a really bad review. Well, next thing I know, the response from the owner, they can respond, was, "Well, you better be careful, this and that. If you don't remove this, we will call the lawyer." So this is not the same thing. So when you are in a strange country, you need to know the laws, first of all. And I hate to tell you, in a strange country, you are at a disadvantage as a foreigner. So people sometimes would say, "Well, how far can we take this?" Well, how far do you want to go? Okay? Manage your expectations. Yes, you need to know the law, and you also need to get close to your attorney. If you work with an attorney who helped you with your residency, the attorneys here tend to handle everything. There is no specialization. Oh, this one only does family law. This one, todo. They do everything. All right. So make sure you become friend with your attorney. If you have question, ask. That's why I say before you sign a lease, have your attorney review it so you know what your um, responsibilities are, right? Who's fixing this if it breaks down? When you have mold, who's supposed to do the cleanup? If the washer dryer breaks down, make sure it's spelled out. And you have the right to tell the owner, "I want you to add, hi Dries, I want you to add this clause, right? Until you're comfortable. All right. The law is not on your side as a foreigner. So don't walk around like you own the place. You do not. You are a guest. All right. And we were talking about that one of my students earlier. If you get into a traffic accident, who do you think is going to win? Be careful. All right. You have the rich auntie look. Oh, come on, Clayton. There's nothing rich about this, sis. Maggie, what about the cost of eyeglasses like Progressive? Is it very expensive? Girl, I don't know. These glasses, this is one of those glasses that I went to a store. I think it was 250. I had ditched my Progressive lenses at home. I mean, I paid $800 for them and I just threw them in the trash because I got tired of doing this Progressive stuff. So I can see out, but when I'm reading, right, I needed the reading glasses and I started buying those at Dollar General. And when I come here, I come with like 5 or 6 of them. And I was running low and I said, oh, I need to find one. And I found them in that store. So I don't know. I have not ordered them. So pretty much I'm sure it's going to be cheaper. Everything is pretty much cheaper here in terms of healthcare. You get your teeth cleaned with discount for like $30, $35. I haven't had my eyes checked here, but I can imagine it will be like $45, $50. We go to the doctor for about the same time. Labs are getting to be a bit more expensive, but a lot of labs here have specials. And that's something Dr. Tawana would understand. When you go to the doctor, the other day, I finally went to a doctor after 3 years. And then, my A1C was starting to creep up. And I'm like, ooh. The doctor sat there. She took, she listened to me and she sat there and she was reading. My pressure was a little bit elevated in her office. I wasn't worried because I said it was fine this morning for me. She came and checked it again. That was the only thing she did. There was no stethoscope that touched my chest, my back, nada. I'm like, oh, but I know that's not the norm. Okay. So you can go to a doctor for like $35, $40, and a specialist might cost you like 80, 90, up to that. The labs, a lot of we have lots of labs here, different labs, private labs, and they have lots of specials. So when they order a lab, what I see, they will do like, they do an A1C, they'll do your blood count, which includes your white blood cell, red blood cells, and platelets, and the other ones. You have to order a separate lipid profile, right? They'll sometimes they include that or not. They check your creatinine, but not no sodium, no potassium. So the package, and they love to check for uric acid here in the packet, and they check something else. They do a urinalysis. So a package like that, I've had it done for like $35 special. But if you want to add like your thyroid profile, like people like, my age, you would want to know what the insulin level is, your cortisol, those would be added on. So I just had a profile done and I had an EKG with it and it was $120 with discount. So that's not bad for lab and EKG, right? So every time you open your phone, and remember that in Panama, it's WhatsApp. Don't try to call people on a regular phone. It's WhatsApp. And if you want to hear about businesses, Instagram, not Facebook, Instagram, okay? That's the most popular genre here. So if you're on Instagram, you're going to get a lot of, they do specials for mammography. They'll do a special for colonoscopy. I need to get one done. She gave me a script. And she's like, well, I didn't want to do the mammogram because I had it done before I went to the Peace Corps. My feeling is if it's not bothering me, leave me alone. I'm not going to be looking for things. But to get this insurance plan I'm looking at, they want a mammogram. And she's like, you want to do a bone density? I'm like, no, but I'm going to have to do it. So those, you can have specials, especially in October. They do a lot of specials for women's health type of testing. So always look for that. Or if you ask people, in your groups, they'll tell you which company or they'll forward something to you that they see as special. But eyeglasses, I have not seen that. Those are specialty services. So you kind of stuck paying whatever they tell you. That was upfront, no insurance. You know, insurance here for people our ages do not pay for screening or for regular visits. All right. Your insurance is going to be pretty much for catastrophic emergency. When you turn 65 in Panama, and I know I talked about that a lot, it's very difficult to find insurance coverage. We have two plans here. They're not insurance, like discounted plans, right? So after you wait so many months or a year or two, they'll say, oh, we'll pay it at 50%. Or you have a copay of 30%. So nothing is, and I think you're going to get like one laboratory test per year. So it's very limited, very limited. 2,100, oh no, it's not going to cost you that much. In Mexico? Oh, in Mexico, 121. Again, I don't have anything to compare it with. I really couldn't tell you because I have not ordered them. All right. But I know people have come here, they've had, this sister just had major dental surgeries and definitely better than what she would have paid somewhere else. I know someone else who also had some dental surgery. People come here to have that. The other thing people do here also is they'll fly to Colombia to get something because Colombia is way ahead of Panama in terms of what do we call that? Medical tourism. Yes. Colombia is much better. You know, a lot of people go in there and have what do they call that? Cosmetic surgeries. You know, a little eye pulling here and sucking. Yeah, they go there to do that. Or if you needed like a major orthopedic surgery, I know people go to Colombia to do that. Get a hip done, a knee done, and then you can rehab there, and it's very well, much more affordable than here. Because here, what's happening, the doctors are seeing, from what I hear people say, they see so many people coming here and prices are creeping up. Okay. So if you can go somewhere and get it done, you know, and that's what you do when you decide to move away from the US. You got to know what's available where. People go to India to get, you know, orthopedic surgeries done. So I've never had to do that yet, but you don't rule out anything, right? Let's see, what else would we miss? Family, friends, the things that you used to. We talk about customer service, just manage your expectation, learn the language because some of them get tired of you shoving your phone in their faces with the translator. So learn a few words. Eyeglasses are cheap here. Oh, okay. But somebody's talking about that. Got mine done for less than 500. There you go. Were they progressive though? That was without insurance, just upfront cost. Yes. Okay. My progressive cost 400 and I got mine from online. Oh, yeah. I bought something from Zillow before. Yeah. So you do have option. But you know, whatever you are paying in the US, definitely much better here. Now, one thing I used to tell folks that I used to hear is that there wasn't much of a wait time to see a doctor, but some doctors who are pretty popular stay pretty booked. And you want to get a primary physician here. It's important, even though you pay them out of pocket, because if something happens to you here as a senior, what we recommend is that you call your doctor first. As long as you awake and you can say, then depending on what you tell the doctor is going on with you, he'll direct you to which hospital. And I don't know if you know that, but the healthcare system here, you have public and private, right? Most of us are interested in the private because we want care that is somewhat similar to what we used to. Like you would like a private room. We don't have that in the public hospital. Public hospitals have wards, right? Where you have multiple people in. The good thing is that the doctors that you see in the private hospitals, have rotated through the public hospital. This is the law. So you don't get a lower level of physician, skills because you go to a public hospital. A lot of people, a lot of us say, okay, if something major happens, if you don't have insurance, go to the public hospital. Now, there might be a delay, and then you're not used to the amenities, services, there are no bells and whistles. This is something you're probably going to have to get used to. I've had people say they went to the public hospital, they had some surgery, it wasn't that bad. And then someone would say, oh, me, he said, your connection is unstable. Send me to the public hospital. And then her doctor is like, nah. We'll figure it out when the time comes because they know. They know where the specialists are. If you say you have an ENT issue, they'll say you need to go to that hospital, right? Private hospital, but that hospital. The Panama Clinic here has a lot of the specialties, from oncology, ophthalmology, and all of them. So, if anything, ask your primary doctor, and they're gonna, direct you where you need to go. That's why you need to be connected to a doctor. Do they have medical concierge services? The only concierge services I remember we used to have was expat services that was headed by a gentleman, Mike Kelly, but now he's working for the biggest. I don't know if they're the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the most uh, famous. I don't know, special hospital here, which is what do they call that hospital again? No, not Santa Fe, but they have he's working for the hospital now because veteran services here is very well organized. So if you're a veteran and you have the plan that they have, the veterans flock here. So Mike is working with that hospital and he's also in charge of those programs. So when people come here and they say, I'm a veteran, it's like, well, go talk to Mike. He's going to hook you up and you register with the hospital. They know what you need done. But remember, everything you need done, if it is service related, it's covered and they do the billing. But anything else, you need a different type of coverage. If you say I have arthritis and it's nothing to do with your service, then you're going to have to pay for it. Don't go to Colombia and get it done. Thank you. That's where he's at. But I haven't spoken to him, but from what I hear, he's very resourceful and he would be able to refer you. But in terms of concierge, um, some people call themselves concierge services. I remember when I first came here, there was a company say, oh, it's concierge services, or they help you with your apartment and this and that. I don't really call that concierge, right? We call those people, they have people who assist expats, right? But for medical services, someone told me that tomorrow, or is it Monday, they're having a big gathering where they're going to have people to answer questions for expat. They're going to have medical, legal, and whoever else. I didn't get an invite, so I don't know. But I think I know what's going on without needing to pay someone to tell me. John Hopkins Hospital is associated with Pacifica Salute, or the other way around. Pacifica Salute is associated with John Hopkins. So they get the same certification, they're JACO certified and all that. So they follow the same standards that they do at John Hopkins. Yes. But it's not a John Hopkins hospital, it's just affiliated, right? Fixers. Yes, the fixers would help you with mostly everything you need to get yourself situated. They're going to charge you now. He works a lot with veterans through FMP. Veterans are very well taken care of here in Panama, I have to say. I'm jealous. Somebody said veterans, two countries that are really easy for veterans. It's Panama and the Philippines. Yeah. But the rest of us, we're fending for ourselves. Yep. So, is there anything else we miss? You know what? It's not a bad thing, but I hadn't rented an apartment since we bought our first house. I was maybe 24. So I've been a homeowner since I was 24. And then all of a sudden you're a renter. That is different, right? Because now you are in an apartment. First of all, I had been in an apartment since I was in my 20s. Once I bought my home, I'd never lived in an apartment before. I always worried about noise above, below, and beside. But as I said, when I was doing nursing and home care, I used to always wonder why people would sell their beautiful homes and then move into a mobile home or an assisted living. Or I'm like, I understand now. First of all, we don't want the responsibility of maintenance and all that. We don't want to be mowing the lawn or paying for maintenance and all that. Yes. I said, I don't think I would enjoy punching a button, taking an elevator to go up and down. Well, that's what I'm doing now. But being a renter is kind of reversal, right? To know that this is not your home. Of course, I maintain it as if it were mine. And then something breaks down, and some of these owners are not as responsive. I have sisters who are having to move from here to there because the owner refuses to fix something, right? And then you're in danger of losing your deposit. And what we are experiencing also as renters is that a lot of the units that you rent were investment properties for the owners, right? And now maybe the market is hot because there are so many people coming here. Some expats are buying property, and the owners are like, "Well, I bought this unit for like 200. Now it's up to 350. I would sell it too. I would sell it because that is a good investment." So some people are having to move because of that. The owner says, okay, I got a buyer, I'm selling it, then I'm giving you 30 days. So it gets a little bit disruptive, right? And that has forced some people to consider buying. But I'm still not convinced that I want to make that level of investment at this stage in life. So this is something that you might miss, not being an owner. If something happens, you fix it, then it's done. No, now you have to wait. The other thing you might miss is what we call efficiency. I gave you the example of going to a restaurant and having to sit to get water, and not getting the smile, the warm and fuzzy. The other thing you need to remember at a restaurant, once you eat, do not wait or assume that they're going to bring you your bill. They will not, unless you make a sign and they bring it to you that you're ready, because culturally they want you to sit there and enjoy your meal. They will never tell you, "Are you ready?" and to give you your bill. No. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. I don't see people in restaurants sitting there, with this. I'll see a couple in the US eating, and husband and wife, children, everybody on their phone. No, because this is a culture where relationship is praised. People love to hang out and enjoy each other. They talk to each other, something that we've forgotten. So if you want your bill, please do not go there and complain. I was sitting there for 30 minutes after we finished eating and they never bought the bill. They won't. And it's not that they're ignoring you. They're like, she's enjoying herself. It's culture. That's what you need to learn that before you get here. We are fending for ourselves in the USA. What? Yeah. Why it isn't beneficial to own a house? I'm talking for myself, Lynette, because I feel like, I'm 68. I don't know how long I have. And remember, when you get to be a certain age, you're living vicariously. You could be here today, gone tomorrow. It could be, you could be in your 30s and 40s. I understand that. But I'm thinking that if you had a home in the US and you sold it, or you had your investment, personally, and I'm not independently wealthy, I'm not a millionaire, so it's not like if I pay like this my apartment, I think they tell me the owner was thinking of selling it. She could come to me one day and say, "If I have a buyer, you need to get out in 30 days," and I have to find me a place to stay. That she would sell it for, like, I think it's like 385,000. There's no way I'm gonna put that money and give it to someone. First of all, as an older person, the banks are not likely to lend you money, a mortgage, because you're not a local, you don't have a job, and they hear all what's happening about Social Security. So you really don't want to take a mortgage based on your Social Security. You don't know if it's going to be around or how much of it's going to be around. So most purchases are cash based. That doesn't mean you could not get a mortgage. I understand some of the real estate people say, well, you could. I don't know what kind of shenanigans they do, but they prefer cash. Cash is king outside of the US. Cash is king. Okay. So I just don't see myself taking that much money and giving it to someone for a house. And then whatever happens to the house, you're responsible for. And I don't want that responsibility. I don't want maintenance. I don't want to pay insurance. I don't want to do any of that. That's me. When I first got here, some of the ladies and I from my group, we were considering it. And we went, we're like, this building is it 15 years old? If you wanted something new, right? We call that pre-sale. They had some buildings going up and they had pre-sale. You buy before it's finished. And here, when they look at size, they talk about square meters. It's not square feet, right? So anything above like 70 and up, 70 to 100 square meters is kind of a decent size. But some of them were smaller and there was no view. Sometimes when you open the window, you're looking at another building. And then they were like 218 or 20,000. And we look at each other and we're like, no. So we made a decision collectively that buying at this point was not the best decision for us. We'd rather invest the money, travel, bless your grandkids, do something else with it, and make sure you leave enough somewhere so that when we get older, we can tap into it to have someone take care of us, because this is why we're here, outside of our place of birth of origin. Okay. So that was a decision we made. Now you might find something much cheaper outside of the city, of course. Anything in Panama City, like where I live, there was a house that was like a kitty corner in a street on the side. And I was like, oh, this is nice. It's not right there on the main road, but I knew because of the neighborhood I'm in, it would be. And then if you buy an old building, God knows what you're going to find. The roof's going to leak. The electric is not up to par and all kinds of things, mold, and we just don't want to. If anything happens in this building, I just send a text. I'm like, oh, senora, this and this and this. And she's like, oh, I'll send the handyman. We like that convenience. So if you go outside the city, let's say, like Boquete is a retirement haven, but because it's overbuilt, the prices of the homes are increased. I've seen homes for $450,000, and I'm like, who's going to pay that much money? You have to be a multimillionaire to do that. And those are my reasons for not buying. Okay. If you get tired of it after you lease, you can move somewhere else. Just you and your suitcase. That's it. The other thing also I forgot to say, a lot of us are thinking that, what if something happens to you and you die? That's happened here. We've had couples, came in, fell in love with Panama, went to a beachfront, the property was for sale. Oh my God, they built a gorgeous 4 bedroom. They're like, oh, the grandkids are gonna come and they're gonna visit and this and that. They can count when the kids came to visit. So here they are with this huge house. First of all, it's two of you. Why do you need that much space? Right? Then you gotta have housekeepers and all that. It's just too much. So now they die. I can't tell you how many times we've seen a notice that says, oh, the owner has expired and the son or whoever is trying to get rid of the place. So they're over there. They're not interested in coming here. They are not going to come and live in this house. So now this house sits on the market for years. You got to maintain it while it is sitting there, hoping and praying somebody buys it. And of course, if it's not you, you keep lowering the price, lowering the price. I don't know. It just doesn't make good business sense for me. If I was a multimillionaire, I would buy this, right? And write it off or something. But because I'm watching my pennies, I don't think it's a good investment for me at this point. And I think you have to have it paid off in 10, 15 years if you get a mortgage. Imagine 68, you get a mortgage for 15 years. Does that make sense to get in debt? I'll be what, 80? It's like, no, I'm not doing it. I feel like the events in my life have aligned in sequential form because I sold my house, car, and downsized over 2 years ago. The timing seems perfect for me to relocate. I'm so grateful. Bravo, sis. But I think, just like the sister said, I feel like in this stage of life, Aisha, oh my God, hola, hermana, ¿cómo estás? She's another YouTuber here. And of course, just let me know if I'm saying something wrong, Aisha. Aisha is well known. She knows everything here. But I feel like in this temporada, we call that a season of life, I want to be light, right? And I want to be able to get up and go easy. So that's why I don't want to be weighted down with stuff in the house or stuff that I'm attached to, like a house. What if something happens and I have to move, right? What am I going to take with me? Mm-mm. And I don't want to keep anything, what is that, a big error thing. More than one ingestion is your primary URL. Send one stream to primary. What is that? Get away from here. I don't know what that is. But anyway, so that's why, I even think that I want to downsize some more. You look at your closet and I'm like, I don't need all this stuff, right? There is a washer and dryer. I can wash. So I'm going to find a place where I can donate stuff and just downsize the closet, downsize the kitchen, live light. That's the way I want to live my life. I don't want to be weighted down with anything. We just did all that. So, no. I'm doing good, Amy. Oh, ¿cómo estás? Everything is well. Thank you, sis. I just cut my hair, so I cut it off. I am good, thank you. What happens if you're single and die? How can the body get back to the States? Oh, I did a whole video about that. What we do here, those of us in my group, most of us have signed cremation plan with a funeral place, right? And because again, there's so many of us here, they're used to that. So you sign for a plan and then you tell them, do you want to be cremated or do you want to be buried, right? They have plans for that. And then if you want to be cremated, of course, they want to have a next of kin here and over there. And it's a whole process. If you die, whether you die in the apartment, it's one process. If you die in the hospital, it's another process. But once you sign the plan with one of those funeral homes, you have a contact. If you pass away, then after the doctor, you call this person. And then they take over. They take care of everything. Make sure the paperwork is done. And once they get a doctor to sign off that, the death certificate You need two death certificates. You need the medical death certificate, and then you want the Panama death certificate, right? So you need a doctor to say, yes, this person has passed away, and he signed up the form. Once he signs that, then they go to tribunal here and get, with the medical death certificate, the regular death certificate. Then they take your body and puts it in their morgue, you know. And then if you want to be cremated, once they have the official death certificate, they can cremate you. Then your next of kin can come and pick up the ashes. If you want them shipped, they'll ship them for you. All that is spelled out in the contract. If you're going to be buried, they can do that too. And then, or you can buy something, I think it's like, what do they call those places? Mausoleum or whatever, that they usually come in pairs. If you buy one, then you can have somebody else come with you and you buy the thing and they put you in there. If you want your body to be repatriated to the state, now the money is going up, then they have to make arrangement with the airline and all that, how to get the body back over there. So once you go to the funeral place, they'll sit down and tell you you have options 1, 2, 3, and then you choose. And some of them you can even make a payment and make monthly payments, right? But you have to have the next of kin here, next of kin over there, a doctor here. Definitely. That's why you need to have a doctor, you guys. So what we tell our ladies is that you get a form, one of those forms. I don't know if you remember in the States, they had the yellow form, the do not resuscitate form you put on your door. We tell our ladies our emergency form should be on there. Your name, your cellular number, your primary care number, your medical issues, whatever you may have that is chronic, your allergies, your next of kin here, your next of kin in the US, and you post it. So if somebody finds you as they leave your apartment, they have all that information. Or it could be in your emergency bag, which we also recommend. God is good for sure. Thank you. Oh, Carol, you just see the hair? Oh, that's right. I didn't have it cut on Thursday. I did it after the meeting. Yeah. Just before I die. I'm gonna swallow a bag. I'm gonna swallow a bag of popcorn kernels. Are you gonna be popping when they're cremating you? You're so bad. Carol, you too much. Oh my God. Any other question? Let's see, what else do we miss? The car, good sidewalks. Yeah, we get challenged with that here. Ooh, and Aisha can talk a lot about that, is handicap access. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. I ride the buses a lot and the metro. At the metro station, they do have an elevator, escalators, but every so often they don't work. So if the elevator doesn't work and you're in a wheelchair, you're out of luck. Okay? And even if somebody would offer to take you down those steps, that would be a big risk. Okay? The buses, there's no lift. Okay? So if you are in a wheelchair, you want to be in a building that has an elevator, but sometimes those don't work either. Talking about being inconvenienced, you have to be aware that it's a possibility. Let's see, the sidewalks in most of the city. It's funny though. You could be on a road, you could have some smooth areas, and then you cross the road, and then there's nowhere. So if you had a wheelchair, you wouldn't be able to over it. So if you're in a wheelchair, a scooter, there's certain areas you want to consider, like Costa del Este, where it's a planned community and you have wider sidewalks. But generally, Panama itself is not handicap friendly. I mean, we're just going to tell you, and they say about it in the news. They know that. And when we had the election 2 years ago, there was one of the candidates whose who had a handicapped child, and the wife was really into improving that, but they didn't win. So I don't know what's happening with that. Greta, I know the popcorn thing. Oh, Carol, and she said it with a straight face too. She's a mess. Thank you. Yes, I like the hair. You spoke about El Barrio Cosa del Este. It's not a barrio. It's a beautiful city. Walkability and wheelchair. Yes, I was there yesterday. I went to this place called Casa del Jamon. I wanted to experience. I was looking for some turkey wings. Like my girlfriend said, she got some collard greens and she wanted some turkey wings, and she found them there. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go find it. So I hop on the bus and then I took a Uber back and forth and found it. And it is a beautiful city. It's got nice sidewalks, and it's just not a place I'd be in. I don't know, maybe it's too uppity or whatever. I just don't like Costa del Este. But it's gorgeous, it's newer, and it's got the sidewalks, if that's important to you. All right. Thank you, Clayton. You said you just got here today. Oh my God, that's amazing. All right, let's see, what else do we need? The weather. I'm from Florida, so it's just about the same. What else do we talk about? Customer service. Um, in healthcare, I don't think there's anything you need. You just got your doctor. They're the nicest, they're human, they talk to you, so we don't have any issues there. You just have to make a choice whether you go into private or public. Get your tarjeta, get your card ready so that you got to pay for your care. There is no indigent care. I forgot to tell you that, okay? So if you can't pay, you got to call someone to bail you out. Even if you go to the public hospital, when you discharge, they say, go to La Caja. La Caja is, what do they call that? Not registrar, but cashier. La Caja, where you go and pay and they stamp, you're clear, then you can go. Otherwise, you're not leaving. For a relative to sign to have the body flown, does any paperwork have to be notarized in the States and given to the funeral home there? Remember, once you sign on, you got to give your next of kin here who can start the process, and your next of kin over there. If your next of kin is coming to get your ashes, yes, that's something that's designated on there. If you want your body flown, there is a flow of paperwork that has to be filled out, notarized, and then from the airline, because each airline has their rules on the size of the casket and all that to take it and how much it's going to cost. So your next of kin hopefully will come and accompany you to take you back there. The ladies in my group, none of us want that. I'm like, you can just put me anywhere. I'm going to be cremated. And I told my daughter the first time, I'm like, I'm going to be cremated. You don't have to worry about going anywhere to spread my ashes. There is a law here. You can't go to Cinta Costera and spread your ashes. No, ma'am. Okay. You might be, don't do that. People say they'll go in the sea, and yeah, you probably can do that there. But for my daughter, she's like, Mom, would you care about becoming fertilizers? Fertilizer. The first time she said, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, just find a hole and put me there. And then last year, I'm like, that's not bad. I got some plants here. You could put a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. They'll grow. I'm good with that. I don't really care. Once I'm gone, I'm gone. I really don't care. But there is a process to get the body back there. Now, what I know is that if you had life insurance, when my mother was with me, I took life insurance with her, on her. And then when she decided to go back home, the insurance wasn't willing to cover her out of the country. So the health insurance that I'm getting here has a $10,000 life insurance if I die here. But if I die over there, I don't know that they would honor that. So I think there is that. Once you cross borders, things change. So you don't ask a lawyer here about what happens over there. If you have those questions, ask a lawyer over there. All right. But I know if you have life insurance, let's say you were visiting, something happens, and they need to have the death certificate translated into English because it's going to be in Spanish, right? And notarized to take it over there to get your life insurance benefit. I see the doctors were on strike here. They need pay raises for over 3 years. I think I've vaguely heard about that. I'm not privy to that because I wasn't following that story. But it wasn't anything major. Like when we have protests and strike, we know about it. Um, I think the last time we had protests about the teachers, the nurses got involved, and I'm like, oh, look at my nurses all in white protesting. But what can I say? Again, when you come to a new country, do not be surprised if you hear or see some things, right? Because you're not used to it. People in the streets about not having water for about a month. That is very common here. The infrastructure is very fragile. That's the way I describe it. So please do not expect the same level of service. You know how when you have snowstorms over there, the electricity is out for weeks and stuff? That happens here too. When we have a lot of rain, like we do, this rainy season's been a little bit different. But sometimes we have mudslides and, things wash off, people die, same thing. Life. And when you're in a country where they don't have that many resources or the resources are not used equally, where are they? You got the same issues over there. When you're in communities that have access to less resources, yeah, you have more issues there. That's why I tell people, if you decide to move out of the city into the countryside, you got to understand things are not going to be the same. You're going to have power outages. You're going to have water issues and other things, insect and bugs and crawlies. Okay, don't ask me about those. I don't do crawlies. That's why I'm up. People say, do you see mosquitoes? I don't see mosquitoes where I'm at. It's too high for them. Their wings wouldn't last. Any body of water. Well, that's good. That's good. That gives them a good, they can go on a boat somewhere and spread your ashes. I have a sister, her husband was cremated. She said she took him with her, I guess, in whatever, different countries he wanted to visit. So she went and she said she spread his ashes in all these countries. And then they have things they carry or they put it. I don't need all that. You can do whatever you want. You want to keep me in a locket? You could do that. But I don't think my kids love me that much, or they would want me to be on their chest. But things change once you reach 80. What changes, Greta? Oh yeah. We have some there's this guy, I think the last time we had a protest, people are in the street dancing with the flag. He said, I thought it was a party, I was going to join in, and somebody pulled him and said, no, 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 no. Somebody said, no, 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 it's a protest, you don't get to participate, you're a foreigner, stay out of it, right? Yes. Do you know if Panama allows non-Panamanians to be buried in the cemeteries here? Of course. Or since there were U.S. military here, can U.S. civilian be buried where they are? Now, that's a good question. We have a lot of veterans here. We had several veterans in our group, and one of our sisters called me. She said, Maggie, because we had the cremation people come talk to us. She said, well, the information they told us wasn't accurate because she went to Corozal, which is where they have a cemetery for the veterans. And apparently, she said, if you're a veteran, your cremation is it the cremation is free or is the burial is free? So they get free services when it comes to burial. And I think if you are related to a veteran, like a wife, I think Don't quote me on that. I don't remember exactly what she said. So the best thing to do is to go to the people there who manage the Coruscant is the name of the place that manages the veteran. They'll tell you exactly. Someone like me probably could not be buried there because I'm a civilian, right? But if you're a veteran, you have the right to be buried there, and maybe your spouse. Yep. Oh, insurances. Oh, if you're 80 over here, you're probably not gonna get coverage. A lot of places would say up to 75 or 76. After that, because understand, longevity is not something that the insurance companies here to this day take into consideration. That's why they have this 65 cutoff. And I'm like, I'm past 65. Look at me. They think if you're 65, you're like gone. So they're not taking any chances with you. 80, we have a sister who was 80 here and she couldn't get any coverage because she has some pre-existing condition. Who doesn't have pre-existing at 80 years old, right? And because when you have pre-existing condition, diabetes, hypertension, cancer is probably nobody's gonna touch you. Okay, so keep your Medicare and go back and get treated. Like if you had lupus or any kind of blood diseases or whatever like that, they put all that in your plan. Then they sit down as a group, decide will they take a risk, a chance on you. And if they say yes, what they do, they'll say, oh, since you have all these pre-existing conditions, then we're not going to touch anything related to those diseases for 24 months. That means if anything happens to you that is a complications of a high blood pressure, right? Stroke, let's say you get admitted with DKA, which is a very high blood sugar, now you're on your own. So I look at this plan and I'm like, everything I told the doctor, he put it there as a pre-existing condition. I said, what am I paying you for then? If I have to wait for 2 years, I could be dead by then, right? So it becomes very complicated. So after you 80, they're like, you're still here? What's up with that? You should have kicked the bucket by now. They're not thinking that people are living longer. That's a whole different mindset. And that is not here. What does the rent usually cost for a one bedroom in San Francisco at Cangrejo? Well, it's different because you have different buildings and amenities, location, and also amenities. So in El Cangrejo, it's more of a middle of the road. I would say 950 to maybe 12, 1300. But it depends. If you have a lot of space and you have it's furnished and you have a lot of new appliances, yeah, it's gonna be so it's really hard to tell people prices. San Francisco has a lot of multi-bedroom units, and I think Aisha does a lot more in the real estate realm. She probably knows a lot more about that. But I have a friend who had a 3 bedroom, 4 bath, and a maid's quarter. The maid's quarter is like a smaller room with a bathroom. She was paying 1250, and then some units were up to 1700. Right? That's a 3, 4 bedroom. 1 bedroom, I would say 900 to maybe 1250. But then again, it depends on the location. I was looking at a community called Pueblo Nuevo the other day. If you are in a building where they have real simple um, apartments, maybe you have an elevator, maybe you don't have a gym, there's no pool, there is no 24-hour security, you might get something for 750, 800. A sister told me she was living in a community in El Carmen and she was paying 750. So it varies. When you come here, if you're working with a realtor, tell them your budget and what you're looking for, and they'll show you where they're at. Or you can start looking on Encuentra24.com, Encuentra24.com, and kind of get an idea because you can what do they call that? You can put your requirements, your location, what you're looking for, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, you want a balcony? Do you want the pool? Do you need the gym? And then it'll search and tell you what's available. All right. But the real estate people know a lot more because some of the units may not all be on Encuentra, right? Yes. So make sure you get a good realtor. Maggie, there is a hospital called Santa Fe that has its own insurance for emergencies only. And I think it covers higher ages. Well, Santa Fe is a plan for the hospital. It's not insurance, it's a discount plan. It's kind of like the one I was looking at San Fernando. All right. It says, of course, you got to take a physical, your labs, and because of that, the doctor takes a history and physical. Warning to you, don't tell him things that you don't need to tell him, because if you say they have my family has a history of high blood pressure, in our family we do have that. I said we have a history of diabetes. He wrote everything on there. That's what Santa Fe would do as well. And they say for those anything related to these diseases, as a nurse, I can tell you, I may not have high blood pressure, but if I say it runs in my family, they put it on there. That means if I have a stroke, if I get admitted for in an emergency, I have like a hypertensive crisis, like we have, then I'm going to cover that because it is under the pre-existing condition. So they'll say, okay, we're not going to cover anything up to 2 years, 24 months. We don't touch it. After the 2 years, we will touch it, but we're only paying 50%. Most of us here, we pay for our regular care. You go to the doctor, to the dentist, get your eyes. All this is out of pocket. Most of us are looking at what we worry about is if you get admitted to the hospital for whatever reason. If you are in emergency, Santa Fe and San Fernando, they say they make you pay $500. The language is a little bit different. And then after that, they pay 70% and you pay 30%. So it is a discount plan. It's not insurance. And then after 2 years, they say you can have one lab a year. If you needed an x-ray, you have to wait like 90 days. You got to read all the different particulars because each plan is a little bit different. But you're right. They don't have any age restriction, but the pre-existing condition gets you. For the 24 months, what happens if you get sick? Tarjeta. You got to have your card and pay cash. Remember, no indigent care. The hospitals are not required to take care of you if you can't pay. The example that I give everybody, this sister was having a stroke. She was having a stroke. They took her to Minimed Hospital, which everybody talks about Minimed. She wasn't enrolled in a plan. They looked at her, they said, yeah, you're having a stroke. You need to be in our ICU. They have a hospital. And they say, oh, because of what's happening with you, we need a deposit of $5,000 to put you in a bed. Do you have that much on your credit card? She said, no. And they said, well, sorry, we can't admit you. We're going to make arrangements for you to take you to the public hospital. That's what they did. Now, as a nurse, I can tell you, when you're having a symptom of a stroke, you have 90 minutes. If you were to go to, what is the one that she told me again? Pacifica Salud, right? Or San Fernando. There are stroke, what do they call that? They are stroke hospital. They are certified to manage stroke. 90 minutes, they're going to ask you, when did you start having symptoms? And in that 90 minutes, they have medication they can give you to bust the clot that is clotting the artery in your head. And if they can bust that clot, then the blood flow is restored, then you have less residual damage, which means you can start speaking again, and the weakness you had, you may, with therapy, get that back. But if they don't do that within the 90 minutes, some of this stuff is permanent. So while they're waiting to make arrangement to transport her to public hospital, she had passed that time window. All right. So this is what you're looking at. And I tell people, when you move abroad, you have to understand that The standard of care that you think of over there may not be available here for a multitude of reasons, right? And some of us talk about, oh, this traffic, when it's traffic hours, the ambulance, the Uber can't get through. It's bottleneck. You got to think about that. If you get into a wreck on a major highway somewhere here, there is no helicopter to come pick you up and bring you over. Mm-mm. So you have to understand when you leave home, those become your realities, and you have to be okay with that. Your building comes with a pool. Oh, we have 3 pools in my building. Would you repost a video you did about the contact form in case of emergency? Okay, we have a new website, and I'm going to put all these forms. I think I saw the developer sent me an email. He's been dragging his feet. We're going to have free resources, and you'll be able to download that PDF. Okay? Yeah, everybody who's abroad should have an emergency. I know Aisha had her group of friends where they have each other's numbers and they have their contact. You got to be connected, sis. And I tell the sisters, we can check in the morning, say, hey, hi, everybody, we're fine. And then I drop here and nobody sees me for a couple of days. And I tell them, it's okay, don't walk too fast. They're like, oh no, Miss Maggie, if we don't hear from you, we're going to come check on you. I'm like, don't walk too fast. Because my mother died, she said, I don't feel good. The caregiver said they took her, gave her a bath, and laid her down, and she never woke up. And I pray to God, that's how I go. I don't want to lay down after, broke a hip, you're in pain. But I'm not worried about somebody finding me 2 days later. I'm totally okay with that. Again, as a nurse, I've had many patients who have been dead in their home for 3, 4 days, 7 days sometimes. That's the kind of thing that happens when you grow older and you live alone. No guarantees, okay? And some of you who want everything done for you, I don't know. This is you, not me. You can literally die if you don't have cash or a credit card. Yes, ma'am. Yes, best to keep multiple cards. Yes, just for emergency, especially if you don't have insurance. What we recommend for our ladies, you keep an emergency bag. Oh, did I tell you that? If you go to a public hospital, you got to bring your sheets, your pillowcases, your washcloth, your towels, your toiletries. You don't get this little basin full of stuff when you get admitted. No. And you in a ward with other people, no privacy, no curtain, relax, okay? So we recommend that you have a bag. I have a brown bag. I wish I had it show you. A brown bag. I went and bought it. I have a change of clothes, underwear, pants, shirt, bra, something to cover your hair. You have an ID. I have a robe in there, a couple of pairs of socks, a pair of tennis shoes, all right? And a little bag of toiletries. So that if, one sister ended up going to the hospital, said, I remember you, Miss Maggie, you saying, grab the emergency bag. Yes, grab the emergency bag. The other thing you need to put in that bag, you need to have a folder in there with that emergency form with all your information in there, right? Another form with your list of medications, as if you were getting ready for a hurricane. We do that in Florida, right? And what else do we put in there? Oh, copy of your cedula, your ID, copy of your passport, all your next of kin information, copy of your credit card. So that means that bag, only your next of kin, somebody you trust, should have access to that, right? And you tell her where you keep it. And also, we also recommend that you keep some cash on hand. Because sis, if the hospital transfers you to the public hospital, I was there with the sister when she was in the emergency room, and I'm waving, they don't let me in, and then the nurse comes out. The lady didn't have anything, no oxygen, no IV, and the nurse said, okay, take these, go to the Caja and pay for those. And on there, he had the IV, whatever meds she was supposed to have based on her clinical presentation, and all the lab work they wanted to do for her. I had to go pay and then bring it back to the nurse with the stamp that says paid before they would put an IV in and draw her blood. You're not used to that. That's the way it works here. Any kind of test you need done needs to be paid for. In the private hospital, they already swipe your card for a deposit to cover those things to get your care started. That's why you need the card so there's no delay. My friend was at Hospital Nacional, which is another private hospital. She said everything they were going to do, tarjeta, hand your card. You need an ultrasound, tarjeta, swipe it. You need a CAT scan, tarjeta, swipe it. Listen, this is a business, and I don't fault them. No one should be giving you free care. There is no such thing here. And there's no law that says they must. I know we always end up talking about healthcare in these lives. So when you have the cash, that means if you were home, if you were admitted to the public hospital and they say this is going to cost this much, you could say, this is a copy of my card, or I have this kind of cash. We recommend like $500. Just have that on hand. And then it's in case of an emergency. What if the ATMs don't work? You can't have access to your debit card. You need a little bit of cash, right? That's recommended. Is it possible to keep the type of stroke treatment medicine on hand? No, ma'am. No. This is something that needs to be given under careful medical supervision because we call those clot busters, right? And they're going to have a history. They're going to ask you, have you taken aspirin, or do you bleed easily? Because I have had people be given that medication and then they started throwing up blood. Someone like me, when I had COVID, they give me one shot in my belly that was a blood thinner, and I went to the bathroom, there was blood everywhere. And I was like, no more, because my body is so sensitive to that. So they have to be careful who they give it to. And some people who have hemophilia or anything like that do not qualify. Okay? So it's not something that you can give yourself at home. No. Are there a lot of groups for single women? Do you have recommendations on how to get connected to the community? Well, they have lots of groups here in Panama, lots and lots of groups. My group is for single women retiring abroad. And when I tell people, people who've consulted with me or watched my videos would say, I'm coming in, and I have to tell them, you have to be living here full time to be a member, right? So once you come and you say, I have an apartment, blah, 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 we kind of get together, have coffee so I can explain to you, what the group is about and the expectations, and then you become hooked up. And we have what we call clusters, where we have people in a smaller group, and we're trying. Some clusters, and Carol will tell you, some clusters work better than others in terms of we check in every day and we get close. We just want to build those friendships so that you don't feel bad if you say at 2:00, oh Maggie, I don't feel good. Can you come check on me? I have a sister up on a floor. Yeah, you want to have that because when you're older and you're alone in country, you need to be connected, sis. But they have other groups. I know Bay of Vista has a group of ladies. I don't know other places. There is a couple here called them Butlers. They have so many groups going. I don't know. I'm not part of that group, but you can get connected to, and then you can just have a few friends and just make yourself a small little group. Yeah, it's easy to get connected here. So don't isolate. That's the last thing you want to do. Can you let your bank know that you will be traveling abroad, and if a hospital call from abroad that needs to withdraw? Not the bank. They don't want to worry about that. That's why you need your credit card. So I tell people, make sure you have a couple of credit cards with, some, what do they call that? Your limit. The other day I was sitting here and they said, "Oh, we just increased your card to 20,000." I'm like, "Oh, thank you, just in case I have to get my tarjeta," right? So have at least one or two, because I would say the average, let's say you don't have insurance, maybe 15, 20,000 at the most, right? But if you have Medicare Advantage, remember, in an emergency, that means anything that would require you to go to an urgent care. You know, you fall, you break something, that's an emergency. By law, up until now, I haven't heard otherwise, Medicare Advantage is supposed to cover that. But the problem the hospitals have run into here, they try to use a third party to do the billing for us, but you know how they do it over there. Deny this, oh, they drag their feet, or you didn't bring this, you didn't code this right. And the hospital were like, oh, we're done with this. We're not gonna spend our manpower trying to beg these people to reimburse us. That's why you give your card, we look at your situation. If you're having a stroke, they'll say, we think it might cost $5,000 to treat you. So they swipe your card for 5,000, right? Your care starts and they're giving you all that. When you're ready to be discharged, they itemize all your costs, laboratory, doctors, hospital, and all that. If, for example, your total comes to $6,500, they'll swipe an extra $1,500 and then give you your receipt and you go. Then they will send you the claim form. Then you submit it to your insurance company and then you go to battle to get your money back. This lady, I haven't met many people who said they have successfully gotten their money back, but Jackie from Boquete, she always talks about when she got COVID, she was admitted and her bill came up to like $16,000 or $18,000. And then she submitted her claim. She said it took her 9 months to get her money back. So, but the hospital will not call your bank and ask for money on your behalf. No, ma'am. Your credit card, that's your lifeline. Okay? And if you had $500, maybe they'll put the IV into the first lab. That's not enough. They want the credit card on file so that they can use it. There are a lot of group for expat. Yes, ma'am. The Brookses is another couple that are expat. They do a lot of religious thing. I think they're pastors or ministers. Carol says she loves SWRA. Thank you. Single women retiring abroad. Wonderful. To the butler. You know, them butlers, this is a couple also. They really do a whole lot of things. They're the ones, this lady just told me that they're doing some kind of gathering on Monday for information, and I'm like, I think I know what's going on. I don't need to go. I'm not part of their group, so I didn't get the invite. Can we do a drive-by by SWRA to somebody what I decide as read or view the room of women for your group before joining? Well, what you could do when we have our monthly meetup, which is the third Thursday of every month, like we just had one this past Thursday, you anybody who's visiting is welcome to attend our monthly luncheons. Yes. And then that gives you an idea of who we are. There's a lot of love in our group when we meet, so I kind of have to keep them under control because they all want to socialize. Yes, you're welcome to attend one of our monthly meetings. If you're in town visiting, yes. But we don't have like a trial period per se. And we've had people leave SWRA. You know, you can start SWRA and then you're like, it's not for me, which is great. They just, and then we have a private WhatsApp group and you just see them say, so and so left. If it's not for you, it's not for you, sis. We can't force you to stay in a group you don't find any value in. No. I heard someone in the video say that they got a flu shot for free. Oh, yeah, you can get all your vaccinations for free at any clinic in the country. They allow expats to go to the polyclinic and I got COVID, I got a flu shot. I'm supposed to go I've been chickening out to get the chicken pox one. They say it hurts, so I'm it's a two shot process. I haven't had a flu shot this year. The flu hasn't been that bad. They had dengue last year, but I don't think there's a vaccine for that. Um, yeah. And then sometimes they'll have them at like malls and stuff. You just go in there. If you have a card, if not, they'll start one for you. And then, you're supposed to have your COVID card and also your, if you have your record shot from abroad. Yes, you can. And in Boquete, people go to the doctor for really cheap. Some people pay $5, $10. Yeah, very affordable. It's the going in the hospital that is most concerning for most of us because in our age group, let's say you have a stroke, that's serious, right? Depending on where in your brain the stroke is and how much the damage, and then you have rehab on top of it, it can start costing you. But if you say, oh, I have arthritis, it's hurting me, I need to get this knee done, you better go to Colombia because that is not considered emergency. Your Medicare Advantage is not going to cover that. This is not like, it's not straight Medicare over there. Straight Medicare does not work abroad. Only Medicare Advantage and emergencies only. I don't know how many times I say that. People still get confused. I have Medicare. Not here. It doesn't work. Single shot is a two shingles. Yes, it's just two shot thing. I had a pneumonia shot too because I'm over 65. This is something that's recommended. So I had a pneumonia shot, flu shot. As a nurse, I stayed away from flu shot forever until I got old enough. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I had COVID. So I know my lungs have a bit of damage. So I have to be careful. Because when the flu comes, it's not the flu that kills you usually. It's the pneumonia that gets on top of the flu that kills you. I have a fraud alert at my bank, and my bank is not really going to let someone swipe my credit card to take out a large money amount. They have to text me to let me know or deny it if I don't respond. Ooh, that could be dangerous in a emergency. But do you have talking about a debit card? What about a credit card? A credit card. All right. The other day I went to get a new phone, and the phone was over $1,000, right? After I got pickpocketed, I enhanced my security. So now the guy swiped my card and it was declined automatically. And then he did it 3 times. I'm like, oh, I think I know what it is. So I had to go into my bank and they said, do you recognize this charge? And I said, yes. Then they released it. So they could do that for you. But if you are awake and alert and you have a phone where they can reach you, because when I got pickpocketed, I had my iPhone that didn't have Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi was connected to my Panama phone. And my Panama phone, because it's a foreign number, was not the number connected to my credit card. So while the guy was swiping, they had been sending me alerts, but I wasn't getting them until I got close to my front door and it was like boom, 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 boom. And it was like, do you recognize those? And I'm like, he had already charged $6,000. So as soon as I got those, I called him. I'm like, no, block the card, right? But you live and learn. So now I have it so that they're not going to approve it. But if you're not in a position to receive the alert and say yes, then they're going to send you to the public hospital. And I think I heard Mike Kelly say the other day, oh, if you don't have insurance or whatever, we don't just send you out. We stabilize you first and then we send you out. Thank you for that. If you're coding, they're probably not going to send you out. That's a good thing. But somebody will still need to pay the hospital bill before they release the body. Oh my God. This is the kind of thing as you get older, it's getting dark here. You don't think about, but this is our reality as older people, okay? And you can shy away. Oh my God, that's so morbid. Hey, it's our reality. And there's been a rise with don't know virus here too. Clayton, where are you? Here in Panama? Uh, have you heard about STEM to go? Yes, STEM is SEM, SEMM. It's one of the larger ambulance services. This is another thing to know that when you call 911 here, we do have it. They'll take you to a public hospital. Each private hospital has their own ambulance services, and a lot of them contract with SEM to transport you. That's why if you call your doctor and say, "Oh, I'm having chest pain, I'm having this and that," he'll say, "Oh, let me call Pacifica Salud and talk to my colleague and tell them to expect you." Then the hospital will dispatch their ambulance to come get you. Yep. And I think one of our sisters has a contract with Sam. Well, they'll come to your house if you say you're feeling bad, and they come, take a blood pressure, and then they'll decide to transport you if you need to. We have, and there's another plan that I signed up for, like $840.30 a month through my bank, Benitsmo, that provides help at home. They'll send, you allowed like 2 ambulance rides a year. They'll come draw your blood if you need to, and you get discounts for like mammogram and stuff. So, I mean, we all have like 2 or 3 things. We're just trying to close any loopholes. Not that I'm afraid to die at home. In fact, I would prefer that. You could probably notify the card company prior to moving there and visiting. That way, they will know it's you. I don't know. You can try that. I know years ago when I was traveling Europe, I would go to Bank of America and I say, "Okay, I'm planning to be out of the country for this much," and they put a note in the system so that when I go to an ATM in Barcelona or France and I swipe, I have no problem. But when I was coming to Panama, I did the same thing. And then they say, "Oh, you no longer have to tell us. If we see anything suspicious, we'll contact you." Well, when they pickpocketed me, like, "What is that? How come you allow them to?" Their cars I hadn't used, and this guy was able to. The first one they let him swipe, and when he went the second time, they blocked it. But anyway, yeah, you could try that. You and David, okay? Uh in the virus in David. Okay. Uh-huh. It's possible, but remember, ladies and gents, that as you get older, you become more vulnerable. Okay. So it might be a lot easier for you to catch things, and it takes you longer to recover because your immune system is lowered, and then you don't have as much reserve. That's why you take the flu shot, you take the pneumonia shot, because it's a lot harder for you to get over these things as you get older. All right. So don't pretend you're 30 because you're not, sis. Okay. I can promise you, you're not. Those lungs have been working for 60, 70 years. They're tired. Your joints, everything's getting tired. Okay. So don't be surprised if you start feeling aches and pain. That's just part of growing older. As much as we want to ignore the fact, it's a reality. They gave me a pamphlet coming in at the David Airport about preventing norovirus. Okay, that's good. And what is the best way to do that? Wash your hands. Credit card for emergency. Keep and separate credit card when with the specific amount of money on it in your emergency bag. Yeah, copies of it. And Carol, have more than one credit card, right? And then pay off any balance that you have. So you have room for them to swipe. Okay. And of course, it's like, "Oh, but I'm going to get in debt again." But you know what? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's my pleasure. The pneumonia shot for the first time. Yeah. And I was fine. I never get a lot of side effect from taking shots. I mean, I think the second COVID shot, it was a little bit sore, but you expect those things. I know it's getting dark, you guys, and my lights aren't on. We're gonna have to go. Oh my God, 6:49. It's almost 3 hours. You understand that I've been talking. Anything else? I thought today was about the things that you miss. But you know, adjustment to any new country is a mind game, it's a mindset. You got to put it in your mind that I'm going to enjoy this place. Whatever the challenges come, roll with it. Roll with it. Ask question. How do you do this, sis? And somebody's going to answer you. If you don't have a group like SWRA, go into one of those groups, Facebook group, WhatsApp group, and ask. I'm telling you, I'm always amazed how generous people are with information. You know, they'll ask the question, and I'm like, oh my God, we've asked this question so many times or answered it. And 30, 40 people chime in and answer. I'm like, there you go. I wasn't one of them because I get tired of saying the same thing. You go into owe someone. That's a good way to look at it. It's been a great visit. Auntie, you're welcome. Time flies when you're having fun. Too much fun. Oh, look at all my friends over here. Thank you so much, you guys, on Facebook. Remember to hit the like button on your way out if you haven't done it. I appreciate you guys. All right, tomorrow we're making vegetables, and I have a head of cauliflower, and I have, let's see, I have avocado, I have zucchini, I have arugula. I mean, I'm ready. I have kale. So we're going to make something good that's healthy. What have I eaten today? You know, I'm trying to limit myself to a meal a day, but anyway, sometimes it doesn't work. All right, guys. Oh, everything is getting blurry. It's getting too dark. All right. Good night, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Tomorrow is the game. Woo! Aisha, what kind of shirt you gonna wear? I'm not rooting for either game, either team. I'm just excited just to watch good football. That's all. But I know they're gonna be playing rough, and some of the refs are very unfair, and it's just not good. It's been a good FIFA, a good distraction for the world. So I'm glad. I think I've watched pretty much every major game. All right, y'all. Good night. Au revoir. Bye bye. Good night. Whew. My